The title of today's video is going to be, is the Holy Spirit present in Barack Obama, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and Joe Biden? So, when you go and you talk about something like this, immediately, oh my God, you're judging people. Oh, you're being so judgmental. What a line. So let's look at the evidence. If all four of the individuals mentioned, Barack Obama, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and Joe Biden, had the Holy Spirit residing within them, you would see the manifestations of the Holy Spirit. What are you talking about? Okay. Here's a conversation that all four would have. We received the baptism of the Holy Spirit. And through the work of the Holy Spirit, I, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama have began to change our attitudes towards others. And because the Holy Spirit is continuing to work in all four of us, the Holy Spirit has revealed many things to us, and that it's a long struggle, but the Holy Spirit continues to work in our lives. Second point, if the Holy Spirit resided in all four of those individuals, they would be talking about the gifts of the Spirit, and they would show the gifts of the Spirit. Do you see them? Point number 3. If they received the baptism of the Holy Spirit, they'd be talking about, the interpretation of tongues and edification and things like that. But the point, again, I'm making is that you would see the true manifestations of the Holy Spirit because you would see a completely different attitude towards white people. But do you see that change in attitude? I'll give you an example of attitude changes. Chuck Smith, passed away now, did a sermon on Jacob. And in his sermon on Jacob, he talked about where Jacob was a con man, and that for years, he had problems with the story of Jacob. Now, years later, he said he was reading Hosea, and those listening know how this works. Something in Hosea jumped out at him and showed him what happened to Jacob on that day. When Jacob was fighting the angel, as you know the story, and in the morning the angel crippled Jacob, he knew he could not run from Esau. So it took the crippling of Jacob to break his will, because until then he was fighting God. And so when the angel crippled him, he fell to his knees and he cried out to the Lord for mercy. And he surrendered his will, meaning he had a changed attitude. So it took the crippling to change Jacob's attitude towards the God of his father. And you know the rest of the story. Point number 2 is Jonah. Jonah had a crappy attitude towards the people of Syria, and his attitude was horrible. You know the story. And so you know the story when Jonah changed his attitude in the whale, or the fish, whatever it was. The Lord let him out. And you know, at the end of Jonah, he still had a crappy attitude. But for one brief moment in time, his attitude changed, and he completed the mission. The Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul, as you know the story, when he was on that road to Damascus, you know the story, he had an attitude change. And so you can see other examples throughout the Old and New Testament where people underwent attitude changes because the presence of the Holy Spirit in the New Testament. So you know, the entire purpose of the Holy Spirit is to help a person change their attitude towards others. So citing those examples, do you see any of these attitude changes within Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Jesse Jackson, or Al Sharpton? If you do not, then they've never received the Holy Spirit. So they're truly not Christians. They just use religion for their political benefit. Thank you for listening.